What up, people? Persona 3 Reload is coming out on February 2nd, and I'm really excited about it. Persona 5 is one of my all-time favorite games, and while I tried playing Persona 3 in the past, I just never got around to it. Fortunately, now that this modern remake is being released, this seemed like the perfect entry point for Persona 3 or just the Persona series in general. But unlike me, maybe you don't know much about the game or why you should care about it. Well, don't worry, I'm here to help with that. If you're new to the channel, I make videos on single player games with a heavy focus on RPGs. If that's something that interests you and you've been enjoying this video, hit that like button to help spread this video around. And with that, here are the top 5 reasons you should be excited for Persona 3 Reload. The first reason you should be excited about the game is all the improvements that the graphics has gotten with this remake. Aside from the promise of the game running at 4K 60 on the latest consoles, the character 2D illustrations, 3D models, background designs, and the UI have all been redesigned. Some of the other aesthetic changes include a mini-map, an objectives bar, and also new animated cutscenes. Also, exploration between classrooms and while in the city have been greatly enhanced to match that of Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal. So if you're someone like me who got into the franchise through Persona 5 Royal or the vanilla version, these changes to Persona 3 will be a welcome addition. Moving over to combat, Persona 3 Reload will showcase some new battle mechanics that weren't present in the original Persona 3. One of those mechanics is called Shift, which is similar to Baton Pass from Persona 5, which involves the ability to switch between characters after hitting an enemy's weak point. Another cool mechanic being introduced is a Persona super move called Theurgy? I pray I'm saying that right. But anyway, how it works is every party member has a gauge that fills up over time from using melee attacks and Persona abilities, and once it fills up, you can use it. Different character gauges can fill up faster based off different conditions being met, such as critical hits or support skills. One of the really cool things about this mechanic is that it can't miss, so you don't have to worry about accuracy or evasion buffs at all. Also, the move ignores resistances, so you can use the move without having to worry about elements making the move weaker or ineffective. Some other smaller changes include the inclusion of light and dark skills, Kuha and Eiha. Party members can choose which skills can be forgotten when learning a new one, and also the removal of party members becoming tired over time. While Shift isn't really anything new if you played P5, I feel like the additions of that, plus Theurgy, plus all the other small enhancements will make combat much more fluid and enjoyable for new and returning fans. Speaking of party members, similar to Persona 3 Portable, Persona 3 Reload lets you control all of your party members instead of only controlling the main character and giving the other members commands known as tactics, which were utilized in the original P3 and also FES. As someone who's coming from P5, the idea of not being able to control all of my party members doesn't sound very fun, and while there may be some who are fine with or even prefer the way it was, I think most people will be happy with this change. Next, let's talk about one of the biggest aspects of any Persona game, social links. One of the biggest additions to social links in Persona 3 Reload are what is known as link episodes. For those who don't know, in the original Persona 3, male party members didn't have any social links with the protagonist like they do in Persona 4 and 5. While they technically still won't have any social links in Reload, the male characters will have link episodes that will give them a much needed and deserved spotlight. Link episodes will happen as the main story progresses, and if you hang out with a character during a specific time, the next episode will follow. But keep in mind that missing the first episode with the character will make it so you can't see subsequent episodes after, so it's recommended that you meet the character as soon as possible after he or she contacts you. A small little extra thing I thought was cool is that the game has also added more voice lines to many social links to help grow and develop the bonds you're trying to make, and it's also been said that every social link event is now fully voiced. While I didn't play Persona 3, I've noticed that the lack of social links for male characters was a huge and glaring issue that a lot of fans had. And again, while it would have been great for them to have added social links for those characters, hopefully these link episodes will suffice for the people who are upset with the original game. The last thing I want to talk about is one of the things that deterred me from playing the original Persona 3, and that's Tartarus. Many people who have played Persona 3 have said that Tartarus was one of, if not their least favorite aspect of the game, because of how grindy and repetitive it started and continued to feel after a while. Thankfully, going into Persona 3, the devs said making lots of changes and alterations to Tartarus was a top priority of theirs, which is why they incorporated so much fan feedback when altering it. The developers couldn't make any major changes to Tartarus because of how much it ties into the main story, so instead they made a lot of little tweaks to make the overall experience much more enjoyable. Some of these improvements include when you're going through the dungeon, there being breakable objects now that can yield rewards, treasure chests, dashing and auto recovery, the removal of the fatigue mechanic like I mentioned earlier, character conversations while you're exploring, and also the ability to send a character off to explore a floor by himself or herself, which also might yield rewards. Hearing how much of a slog going through Tartarus was, on top of my terrible experience with Mementos in Persona 5, which is a story for another day, I had completely written out Persona 3 as a game I ever wanted to get into. And while the changes and improvements made weren't necessarily revolutionary, it seems there's been enough tweaks to Tartarus to the point where it won't be as much of a pain for players to get through. You add on top of that the enhancements to the combat, graphics, and all the other substantial quality of life improvements, Persona 3 Reload is shaping up to be the definitive way to experience this amazing RPG, and I can't wait to play it when it releases on February 2nd. Alright guys, that's it for me. Are you buying Persona 3 Reload? Are you playing it on Game Pass? Let me know in the comments. If you want more content from me covering other RPGs, here's a playlist that I think you should check out. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to keep up with the channel. Later.